Many thanks to DayZ Podcast, Pandemonium, Fatal Extraction Vanilla servers, Atlas, Mutated Jurassic Outbreak servers, One Original DayZ servers, Clash Vanilla servers, Sheriff Line, Sauerkraut, Sergeant Pepper's DayZ Invasion server, PGT servers, Waste Sea, Chinese Cream Vanilla servers, and Tequila for making this video possible. DayZ WOBO 24 gives us a new armor-piercing Vikhr rifle, along with a new 30-round magazine for the entire armor-piercing family to play with. So in this video we're going to check out how this new gun and magazine changes the meta, go over how armor-piercing rounds give this weapon bonus damage, compare this gun to the VSS and ASVAL, and check if the Vikhr can kill armored targets faster than some of the best weapons in DayZ. The Vikhr rifle, otherwise known as the SR3M, was a purpose-built Russian rifle designed to take all the best features of the VSS and ASVAL and squash it all down into a compact weapon that had the best features of both of these weapons, but much more concealable. The same applies to the world of DayZ, and to cut a long story short here with this video, the Vikhr is simply the VSS and ASVAL that takes up less inventory space due to the lack of a fixed suppressor. This obviously makes the Vikhr much louder, being heard by players up to 2,800 meters away, which is slightly further away than the 150 meters that the VSS and ASVAL are heard at. The Vikhr spawns in Tier 3 military on Chernobyl and Livonia, so you will need to visit military hotspots to get one of these, spawning 7 per server. As standard, it can spawn with a range of attachments including optics and magazines, but it will always spawn in semi-auto fire mode, so be sure to switch it to full auto to make the most of this weapon. The rate of fire, as you may already have guessed, is a mighty 900 RPM, spitting out 75 health and shock damage per bullet of 15 rounds per second, so 15 bullets, 75 health damage. That's a lot of damage. The two ammo types are the 9x39 and armor piercing variants, which also have the same amount of damage up close. So the armor piercing and regular 9x39s have the same amount of damage, but it varies slightly over range due to some complicated differences. The AP variants in DayZ fly faster through the air, giving the Vikhr using AP's better bullet speed, penetration, and slightly more health damage over distance. As you can see here, the health damage is more at a distance. However, the regular rounds get a shock damage bonus, so if we switch to shock damage here, you can inversely do more shock damage with the regular rounds as opposed to the AP rounds. When it comes to the Vikhr though, at least against unarmored targets, this will unlikely make a difference, as this weapon only zeroes up to 200 meters as standard, giving it a low base range like the fixed ASVAL. ASVAL is 160 meters, this weapon is 200, and as a result, best used in CQB unless you want to risk sniping with an optic with this weapon. I say risk with this weapon not only because the Vikhr is incredibly loud, 2,800 meters, but also because the bullet speeds of the 9x39 absolutely sucks, as you may be aware, and will require a lot of practice against moving targets. Any moving target past 100 meters, you're going to struggle to hit that target. Now you can reach long ranges with the Vikhr like you can with the other 9x39 weapons. The VSS optics are the same ones that get attached to the Vikhr, but do be aware that this weapon is complete ass beyond about 600 meters. Even when you're zeroed up to 600 meters, the bullets, they come in way too steep and you have to be perfectly zeroed in order to hit your target. Or you can attach the improvised suppressor, because when you fire this weapon, people will know about it. It's best to stick to around 400 meters at a maximum with the Vikhr for that reason. You don't have a fixed suppressor with this weapon. Now in real life, the Vikhr has a custom built suppressor that you can attach to obviously, but unfortunately the best we have in DayZ is a piece of plastic and a ghillie wrap. On the plus side though, the Vikhr is very small at just 18 slots. It's great for tighter environments due to it being short, and still has no weapon crack sound like the other members of the 9x39 family. VSS and ASVAL are incredibly similar to the Vikhr in nearly every conceivable way, such as damage, RPM, DPS, accuracy, recoil, sway, bullet speed modifiers, resulting in primary stats that are exactly the same across this family. These three weapons have the exact same primary stats. The only way that the ASVAL is better than the Vikhr in DayZ is for its quietness, with 5 stats of the Vikhr beating the ASVAL by a decent amount, as you can see here. The only way the Vikhr is better than the VSS, however, is that it's smaller in size, as a VSS is superior at range, and obviously it has that suppressor too, resulting in the VSS being the best of the three, the ASVAL coming in second place, and the Vikhr being the worst of this family, because fixed suppressor weapons in DayZ are just too good, lasting multiple times longer than attached metal suppressors, while making much better use of weapon cleaning kits when you want to repair that suppressor, also repairing the gun at the same time. However, if you don't care about how loud you are, you're not insecure about the length of your gun, and you solely want to use a Vikhr in CQB, the Vikhr is the best of this family due to its compact design, while retaining the best of the stats of the VSS and the ASVAL, which are all now better in CQB due to the new 30-round 9x39 magazine. The three mags for this family of weapons are the 10-round VSS mag, the 20-round ASVAL mag, and the 30-round Vikhr mag, all attaching to these three weapons, all releasing when these weapons were released, hence the names of the magazines. Now, even with the 20-round magazine, the VSS and ASVAL, in my opinion at least, fell behind the meta due to them spending their rounds way too quickly, 900 RPM to 20 rounds. They just disappeared from your magazine, more so with the 10-round mag, but with the 30-round mag, I feel like 2 full seconds of 1125 damage per second is pretty good, pumping the 9x39 family up the ranks as some of the best CQB weapons in the game now, and comparable to the best weapons in DayZ in terms of damage per second when you're using armor-piercing rounds against armor. The 10 and 20 round mag spawn in higher tiers, around 7 per server spawning, and the 30 round mag spawns in the highest tier, so tier 4 Chernobyl, tier 3 Livonia, and spawns half as much as the 10 or 20 round magazines. All of these mags spawn in military areas only, and the 30 round magazine spawns exactly where the armor piercing rounds spawn too, so this is a good place to get armor piercing rounds at the same time while trying to get that 30 round magazine, because if you want to make the most of the Vikhr, you're going to need armor piercing rounds with that 30 round magazine. It's widely believed in DayZ that armor-piercing rounds or AP rounds do extra damage, or at least they do extra damage to players that are wearing armor. In DayZ though, AP rounds only do extra damage to the durability of armor, not the player, draining the durability of armor faster than other ammo types do in order to degrade that armor to the ruined quality level in order to bypass the protection bonuses that that player has with the armor. When not ruined, the press vest in DayZ reduces health damage taken by 50% when you're shot in the torso. This means that the regular 9x39 rounds would do 50% less damage, and all rounds in DayZ will do 50% less health damage. Even armor-piercing rounds, they would do 50% less damage. The amount of health damage you inflict is equal to the amount of durability damage each bullet does to that vest. So if you do 50 health damage, it's going to take 50 durability off of that vest's health. But armor-piercing rounds do 3 times the amount of health damage you do. So if you do 50 health damage, 150 durability damage is going to be removed from the health of that vest. That's the only difference between normal rounds and armor-piercing rounds. It's also important to understand that when a bullet ruins a vest, it will inflict full damage. So even if that bullet barely ruins the vest, it will do 100% of that bullet's damage. A great example of this in DayZ is how the regular 9x39 rounds do 37.5 health damage to the player wearing a police vest. As you can see here, 37.5 damage has been removed from its 105 total durability health, but AP rounds do full damage because it does 3 times 37.5 health, which is more than the total health of the police vest. Ergo, it ruins it in just 1 hit and bypasses the protection properties of that vest and does full damage, so you can 1-hit KO a person with the police vest on. This works exactly the same with other armor types in DayZ, helmets, legs, it doesn't matter, this is the way it works. But the question is, do the armor piercing rounds allow us to kill armored targets faster than the best weapons in DayZ? The best way to do this is by noting how many bullets it takes to kill and KO a target. So this is the regular 9x39s. It's this many hits to kill, this many to KO, and with the AP rounds, it's this many to kill and this many to KO. From these numbers, we can see that the AP rounds allow us to kill and KO a target with 1 less shot with the AP rounds, while also killing a target with 1 less shot against plate. So there's not a huge difference here, but there is a difference. To simplify this further, we can add up the number of total shots to give us a score, with the lower the score, or the number of shots, the better the weapon is against armor. So the regular rounds required 20 shots total, so all of these numbers added together is 20, and all of these numbers added together is 17. This means that the AP rounds have 17, which is better than 20. Another weapon that has 17 is the M4, so you could say that AP round kill speeds are the same or on par with the M4, at least when it comes to damage per second or how much you can kill or down a player in DayZ, which also has the same RPM, so this is a good comparison, I believe, at least when it comes to close quarters. So the Vikhr, VSS and ASVAL firing AP rounds is about as good as an M4 is against armoured targets, with the DMR getting a score of 12, making the DMR much better, obviously, like it is in all departments, but many times better against unarmoured targets. Note the difference. On the weapon rankings then, the DMR is still the king with the SVD slightly behind it, but the 9x39 family sits at around rank 20, and I was criticised for this earlier, and I have to agree that this is not considering the AP rounds. If you do consider AP rounds, these weapons are certainly within the top 10, so you can consider AP round VSS, ASVAL or the Vikhr to be a top 10 weapon in DayZ when you're using the 30 round mag plus AP rounds. As for my personal take on this new weapon, it's much worse than the VSS and ASVAL for lacking a decent suppressor. It's what makes the VSS and ASVAL so good for stealthy players, especially with the changes this patch, with how infected react less to bullet impacts and suppressed weapon fire. However, not all weapons in DayZ, the new ones, are going to be god tier weapons like the DMR. The Vikhr does fit into the meta. I believe it's a good size CQB 9x39 weapon that can devastate as much as the M4 does against armoured players when you're using those AP rounds. Let me know if you're going to be hunting this weapon down in 1.24, of which you can learn more about 1.24 here. Thank you very much for watching and have a good day.